Hello there. It's very good to share this video with you. So this video is on a topic that is quite alive in me as it's something that I'm continuously reevaluating. So the idea is about balanced relationships, and the questions at the beginning of the post, I'll just read a bit of it. So how do we stay in tune with ourselves, claim and be in our full power, and choose and stand for our own beliefs, choices, values, and do with love and respect to all other beings we relate to in our lives, keeping our frequency high, taking care of ourselves in the way while also giving and thinking of ourselves? I find balance difficult sometimes. Great. So the first thing I want to say is that we have to make sure our connection to our source is clear. So energy created cannot be destroyed. And everything we put out will come back to us. When we are genuinely giving unconditionally of our energy, that love and support comes back to us in a different form. Though, do we always want to give it out? And that is the question. Because we can also give that energy to ourselves in order to become a more clear vessel for giving that energy to others. How do we know if we're connected to our source? Are we feeling unconditional love? You're connected to your source when you're really feeling true unconditional love, and you're giving from a place that is unconditional, as in not attached to what returns. You can still be desiring of a return, anticipating of one, though not attached to it per se. I get myself in tune with source by picturing a light column connecting my heart to the center of the universe, or to the great central sun, or to our sun even. They're all powerful source energy connections, streaming energy from my crown, my connection to the infinite, to my heart and out through my being. This is my signal that I am in tune in a flow state, and the energy that I am giving from that place is expanding my energy body. That is, for light workers, is pretty basic, but for some people, it's a good place to start, so I will include that in the beginning. So then I have written down a couple of questions. So we are all beings with needs. We all have human needs. And honoring our needs is so important. We all have different needs because we all have different conditioning. We all have different talents, so we all have a different way of meeting other people's needs. And in order to really be of greatest service, we have to really make clear definitions of what our needs are, what our talents are, and what our goals and desires are. So from this perspective, sometimes relationships, it's okay for it to be an exchange or to be a bit transactional. What are your needs? So do you need to be nurtured? Do you need to be mothered or fathered? Is that an energy that has been missing in your life? We all need to be our own parent to our inner child, but the truth is oftentimes we actually need also that outward figure of a loving, supportive, sort of unconditional love. Even the best of us who are healers ourselves need that from others sometimes. Do you need somebody to poke and prod at your shadows and at the things that you cannot see yourself? I need that. We all need that. We all need somebody to be a clear reflector of what we are not seeing within ourselves. Those are the good things and the bad things. So that leads me to say, do you need validation? And we all do also need validation. We all need somebody who can affirm to us that we are talented, that we are powerful, affirm to us what about us is clear and important. What about us helps them? We do need that affirmation. What is our potential? We need that affirmation as well. We need validation. And then there's other needs that other people can't meet, that only we can meet ourselves. Yet sometimes we don't meet those needs because we are so focused on working, giving, doing something other than actually meeting our needs. So those needs are water, food, rest. And you'll actually die sooner without sleep than you will without food. So that just reflects how important it is that you honor your body's cycles and rest. If you aren't rested because you're continuously putting energy out, you can't actually be that channel for another person at all. So what are your needs in terms of your own health and well-being? The needs that only you can meet. And those needs are very foundational. So then the second question, what are your talents? Are you that nurturing, supportive person? Are you that person that is always just holding your heart open to love others? Are you that person? Are you the clear mirror that can show people the things in themselves that they don't want to see or aren't ready to see? Are you that person who can like take a peek into the darkness and walk there with someone? Are you a channel? Are you intuitive? Do you pick up on information? Are you an artist? Do you like to create? Do you like to sculpt? Are you a business person? Are you very technical? Are you good at working in that regard? Are you very physical? Do you have a lot of strength and endurance to create things, to work, to build things, to do work around? All of these things are equally valid, and we're not equally talented because this is a diverse world where there are many needs. Define what your talents are so that when you enter relationships, you can see where those things are exchanged. And finally, define what your goals and your desires are. What are you trying to create in your life? Are you trying to create as light workers, many people who are following me now are light workers, so trying to create a more harmonious world. That is our desire together. But what are your personal ways of doing that? Do you want to expand your practice? Do you want to develop healing gifts more? Do you want to build a community? Do you want to create a business? What do you want to create? And really honestly look at that and have that just beyond your relationships, have that defined, because every moment of your focus should be somewhat oriented towards that. Of course, we need leisure time so that we can feel excited about life. And that's part of our dream too. We want to have a life set up so that we naturally enjoy every moment of what we're doing. We naturally enjoy our surroundings and the people we're with. We want to have our relationships nourishing us. And we don't want to leave a connection with somebody feeling like, I'm tired, I'm sick, I've given way too much. So from those definitions, you want to look at your relationships honestly and see in which relationships are your needs being met. In which relationships do you feel that you are getting those things that you need? And in which of those relationships do you not feel that way? In which of those relationships do you feel that perhaps something is going off and something is just leaving you feeling awkward? In which relationships are you honestly sharing your talents? In which relationships is that energy rippling out from you in that way to be for others to receive, for others to take in? Where are you putting your focus and your gifts? And finally, what relationships are contributing towards your goals? Which relationships are making you feel good? So asking yourself these questions for people, for all of us who've been trained to just be so unconditionally loving all the time, it may seem like very awkward, but this is the stuff that after expanding my work for a while and reaching more people and having a lot of connections, people reaching out to me a lot, I have to ask myself, is this connection honestly serving me? So ask yourself those questions and really see, let this be an act of self-exploration. And from there, once you've really reflected on that, begin to speak your needs within relationships. Do you need to be heard? Do you need to be mothered? Do you need to be given that advice? Or do you need to be even disciplined? Do you need someone who is there to kind of be like, hey, get more focused on what you say you're doing? Someone who can coach you in that regards of really enforcing you and holding you to the standards of who you claim to be, because that is an important role as well. Speak what you need from others, because oftentimes we just go about these cycles, and this is where relationships get very nasty, is when we assume that the other person knows what we need, or that we try to go about getting our needs met in really unhealthy ways. So codependent relationships are so layered by this, and codependent relationships are actually the most common relationship type on this planet, where we are so enmeshed with the other person that we cannot find our own inner validity without them. And so we'll do anything, we'll really do anything to get them to love us, including blaming, manipulating, playing mind games, and many different tactics to coerce that love out of them. That's really not so fun. So the practice of honestly speaking the things that you need from another person, just saying it straight off, right from the bat, saying, I need you to listen to my story right now. I need you to help me with this certain problem. I need to heal my life in this way. I need to bring more abundance into my life. I need to start to really practice speaking all of the things that you need. Just make it a practice. Like, do you need to sleep? Do you need to rest? Do you need more money? Do you need to eat well? Say those things to yourself, and say those things within your relationships to get yourself in a state where, like, okay, I need to take care of myself. I need to focus on me. So the next step here is to own your talents and share them. Find what level of exchange feels mutually fair and ask for it. Stop believing it is unfriendly to ask for exchange in return. So, yeah, I find that a lot of my clients are friends, and people that start to work with me over a longer period of time become more closely connected with me, because there is this genuine love and the support I bring. So naturally that love brings a connection, though we've been very conditioned to think that we have to just give of ourselves, that if we ask for what we need in return for what we're offering, that it's bad or wrong, or that a more spiritual person is just going to let themselves just be so open and in service all the time. And it's true that we are always in service, though it's just a matter of, are you in each moment, what are you serving? Are you in service to others? Are you in service to yourself? There's nothing wrong with being in service to yourself. In fact, truly, that's funny, you have to be in service to yourself some of the time. Though the question is, are you serving yourself while cutting others off? Are you serving yourself in a way that's blocking the flow of well-being to reach others? And if you've gotten this far, most likely not. There are some beings on the planet that are still like that, and in a way that's just their journey. And by really focusing on being more open and loving and generous with our love for ourselves and for others, and making sure that every time we give to ourselves, that we are also serving those around us, and we're not taking more from them in a way that's harmful to them, we can keep ourselves in check. So, okay, this point is, notice how you are feeling when you leave a connection with another person. Do you feel excited? Do you feel more drained? Do you feel longing? Do you feel fear? Take note of all the subtleties and put voice to them. So as I've been journeying with this on my own, I like to just notice how every different person has a different effect on how I'm feeling. Some people give me very little or nothing, but I leave feeling good because they also didn't take from me. And with some relationships, it's this mutual exchange. We talk about our stories and what we're going through, and we reflect on each other. And that leaves me feeling open and good. And sometimes very little happens, but it makes me feel super duper charged. And sometimes very little happens, but it makes me feel very tight and very withdrawn and very, ugh. And this can happen when somebody is just talking on and on and on about their story, their things, their stuff, and you're just holding open the door for them to receive love or see what more clearly or what have you. And that can again expand your connection with your source if you stay anchored and grounded. So this is where it will drain you of time. And when you lose time, so to speak, you have the question of, okay, is this time that I'm giving this person to keep my door of love open to them? What is that worth? What do they have that they can give to me? And sometimes that can be money, sometimes that can be a different thing that you need. If you've become clear about what you need and you've communicated it, then allow that to return to you. And if that person isn't capable of doing that, is that connection really for you? Is that connection really helping you? Is that connection, again, bringing you closer to your dream, your goals, your desires? And if it isn't, then oftentimes it's actually okay to snip that cord, because we have to snip the cords to what is old in order to make room for what is new. So I think these are in some of the other, yeah, I've written a lot of other things down here as well to look at. And yeah, I just want to give voice to some of that and this idea that we have to be able to let go of the old in order to make room for the new. And this is also in terms of relationships. It's so clear. My teacher has said oftentimes that, like, look at in your spiritual journey how many times all of the friends, all of the people in your life has totally flipped around. And I think that's different for everyone, but for me, it's been quite a lot. And I also have a life where I'm traveling a lot, though even with that, we are in a world where we're still very connected online all the time. So, you know, after years of traveling, I would say, thinking like 4 years back, there's a handful of people I knew then that are still as close and connected to me. And that's okay. I've come to see that every connection is what it is in the moment, especially being someone who's working in this spiritual field. We're often put in this big role in another person's life. What we hold, the space we hold for them means something very, very significant. And then when there can be this hairline trigger where they then start to project all of the opposite things on us because we're playing such a significant role. They can all of a sudden totally shift their personality, and then you're evil, you're wrong, you are neglectful because you haven't upheld the role that they cast you in without speaking about it. And I've seen this happen sometimes, and it's challenging. And it's actually made me, in a way, softer with myself and more non-attached. I wouldn't say I'm aloof. I'm very loving and very close when I'm with you. I'm really genuinely with you. Though I may not be with you for long if there isn't that real level of exchange. And I'm coming more to celebrate that instead of fleeing from it. So do as well the following. It's something I wrote in this little post before I began. Ask yourself honestly and carefully, why are you giving? It is okay to give in order to receive. It is also great to give and receive unconditionally. You decide what feels right. Reprogram your beliefs. Really, are you giving because of a lack of self-worth? Are you giving because it is the right thing to do? So really look at the motivation behind why you're giving. And for the most of us, we're giving because we genuinely want to help. Though sometimes we have other hidden intentions. Sometimes behind that intention, we're giving because we believe that if we don't give, then we are bad. We're giving because we've been trained as children to think that only because we are supporting others, are we good? And so we don't give in order to actually genuinely support another. We give in order to earn our self-worth. And this is very tricky. And this is a very slippery slope. So it's okay to give in order to receive. Though when we are more communicative about our needs, then we make ourselves more open. And it's also okay just to give super unconditionally. And this kind of love is great when you feel it, when you genuinely feel it. But if you don't genuinely feel that, like, oh, I just want to give all this love right now, then things go a little bit off. So I sometimes get into this state where I'm just like super excited and I just want to like dance and share, and I light up the world, and every person I meet, I'm just like, hey, I love you. Hey, how's it going? Telling a little joke, sharing a little smile. A smile is one of the most powerful ways we can support another person. And so when you smile, you're giving something. Let that be a gift. And then notice how quickly and instantly that gift is given right back. And the same goes with many other gifts. So if you're not communicative about what you actually need, it doesn't return. But if you're in that high flying, super glowing state where you're just so charged by what you're giving, you'll put yourself in a very receptive place to receive as well that unconditional support. And that's very beautiful and powerful. So ask yourself, in the relationship you are in, if the relationship you're in helps to meet your needs, or if it's just out of habit. And so much of the time we want to just keep the friends that have always been in our life. We may have very fond memories associated with them. They may have helped us through crucial chapters of our growth. Though if those people are now people that when we hang out with them, we feel drained and tired, if we feel that our solar plexus just collapses, we feel like sometimes when somebody is just dumping on you or just using you as their outlet without giving in return, you literally get this energetic slime that sticks around your aura, and it's just yucky. And it's okay and actually necessary. You've just got to cut those cords with people. You just have to let them be a part of your past. And you can do that with great love. You can speak your truth honestly, and if they're willing to hear it, that's great. And if they're not, then they're just not ready to hear it. Oops. Sorry. Ask yourself in the relationship, oh, I did that one. Do your inner child work. So all of these patterns of like using the relationship to be validated, or just naturally letting ourselves fill a role for another person, come from our childhood conditioning. So we learn so much from our childhood conditioning. Let me just name a couple of them. It's not safe to be magical. We have to behave. We have to be quiet. We have to be controlled. We have to do what the other person needs of us, hands down. We have to take care of another person's problems. It's not okay to be who we are. Everyone learns something very different from their childhood. Some people learn that negative emotions are not okay. Most of us learn that. Some people even learn that positive emotions are not okay. So all of these beliefs, all of these suppressed things become lodged into our body from our childhood process. All of our relationships stem from what we learn in childhood. So you really have to go back and time travel to your inner child, relive those experiences, and take these new concepts that you're learning and teach that to your inner child. And if you don't do that, if you don't nurture your inner child, you can't receive that nurturing and love in the context of relationships. And that's a very, very long process, and I've made some separate videos about that. So look on YouTube channel, youtube.com/blissbeings, to find the inner child work video, our look at Teal Swan's inner child work processes. So learn how to receive. A lot of people don't know how to receive love. Energetically, the back of our chakras are where we receive energy, especially the back of the heart chakra. Everything is love or asking for love. So we have to learn that everything that somebody does for us is either them trying to give us love or them trying to get love from us somehow. And just the problem is that because people aren't speaking their needs, they're trying to go through the back door to get that love. And we have to really be strong and firm in our requests for love and our opening to love. You can imagine the back of your heart chakra as if it's a gate or a window, and just open the door, open the curtain, and feel that pulsation. Or maybe you feel your heart start to contract just as I talk about this. That's all interesting things to watch out for. Learn how to receive love. Even the most simple gestures are a form of love. And in recognizing those, you can start to allow for more. Every time you speak your needs and you ask for what you want, you get better and better at receiving. There's many YouTube videos about that at receiving. So if you feel any contraction or confusion when I'm starting to talk about this concept in a short couple minutes, look that up and look how to receive. It's very important. Cut your cords daily. Pay your debts quickly. Do not leave things open-ended. Every time it drains your energy. Cut your cords daily. And we hook and cord people in our relationships when we make contracts with them. And this is, I actually believe and practice working with energy in a way that we can have relationships without any hooks and cords. Most relationships work with them to some degree, and I think that we can have contracts when they're genuinely at a point of being super unattached, when we're so open to the possibilities of life that we could let our plans change at any moment. We don't have to go into a single relationship with any cords. We can be in a place of openness and balance in which we can cut our cord with a person right in front of them and make sure that we don't have cords, and make sure that we're just being pure channels, pure mirrors for another. Cut your cords nonstop. Just cut your cords, all of them. And there's different meditations you can do to cut and release them. So if you don't understand this and I'm just talking a bunch of woo-woo, a cord is energies that link chakras. So let's say the most common forms of cords are heart to heart, so sacral to sacral. So one cord goes in one direction, from one person's heart chakra to another. It is sending energy from the heart into the heart of the other. So this is where one person is giving and giving and giving love, and the other person is receiving and receiving and receiving love. Then it's to the second chakra. The person that is receiving that love is giving and giving of their maybe sexual energy, maybe their creative energy, maybe their nurturing energy, or their touch, or their money, something that is more material. They're giving and giving and giving that because they don't know how to receive love on their own or without that kind of an exchange. And they do this without realizing it, therefore it becomes an unconscious energy pattern, and it just gets you into whole bunches of entangled messes. And you learn from them, and it's great when you do. So by learning how to cut those cords, picturing them go, and learning how to be balanced in all of our chakra centers, being balanced at every level, and feeling how these exchanges can work without them being a constant contract to continue to drain or siphon energies, can be a lot healthier. So another thing I wrote about that is, like, always pay your debts quickly, because when you leave these things open-ended, when you leave some sort of an open contract, you're just letting yourself be more drained. That's always in the back of your mind. Therefore, you're always thinking about it. And this is creating a karmic imbalance, which the more karmic imbalances you have, the more it's hard to be fully present in other relationships. So the last thing I wrote here is you pay in cash or karma, always. If you're always giving, let yourself receive unconditionally from other sources. As you know, as a constant giver of something, it just feels good to give. Extend that pleasure to others. If you are always taking, do your karma yoga. Genuine selfless service will always bring you great reward. Learn to find the bliss in unconditionally giving, and make sure you are giving from a connected place. So yeah, this kind of summarizes all of it. And really, if you are just in that unconditional level of giving, that energy does return to you, though, again, your time may go away. So you put yourself in a higher vibration. in order to then receive that love and from other sources. And by just being open to receive that same level of unconditional love that you give out, you're letting the universe balance itself out. So often, healers who start off will find that maybe they get a bit drained by continuously giving, but then everything in their life somehow works out. And that's great, celebrate that, but make sure you're, again, open to receive that. If you find yourself constantly taking and taking in relationships and from others, then it's important to kind of own that and know that that's okay and that's valid, though it will start to feel draining for others and you'll start to be a lot less attractive to other people. So start to practice that kind of selfless service. Karma yoga in the East is this sort of practice of just giving everything, doing things in service to the divine, and letting that be a blissful thing. And in many yoga traditions and paths, they show that through doing this, they just attain this greater state of bliss and connection. And that's a beautiful path if that works for you. I've practiced that in many ways, and it always uplifts me. Though, again, I've come to learn I have to meet my own needs first. So I can't cover all of the topics around this in just one video. I think I gave a pretty broad range sweep of a lot of tools and a lot of things you can look at to make sure that these relationships really are in balance. I really suggest to watch Teal Swan's videos, because her videos about relationships over the past year and a half have really changed the way I look at every relationship and how I look at the light and the shadow, the darkness within the light and the light within the darkness. We never actually lose something from connections that drain us, because we always gain a valuable lesson of how to maintain our energy later. So always look for those hidden lessons and value them, because that lesson will help you to not make the same mistake again. Though codependency and these unbalanced relationships are such a complex topic, and it ranges with everything in our psyche. So look at her videos about the inner child work process, about how to meet your needs, about unconsciously meeting your needs. There's so many topics that she covers so eloquently. And with time, I'll probably share my own take on them, or different ways to do that and clear those patterns. And yeah, I just want to sit for a moment and just see if there's anything else that pops up in my consciousness about this. I guess it's that relationships, life is defined by relationships. And we just want to attract to us the kinds of relationships that are genuinely nurturing to us. Community, more and more I'm discovering, is not something outside of us. Community is what we create through our own magnetic field. The people that we draw to us are there for a reason, and we have a lot of creative control over that. When we let go of a connection that doesn't serve us, we open the door for the connections that really do. When we are genuine with ourselves and what we need, and we learn how to ask for it, we practice asking for it again and again, we make ourselves more open and more receptive to the people that are actually going to meet us. So boundaries are not these constricting and limiting force fields. Boundaries are electromagnetic energy that work through the law of attraction and repulsion. Defining your values, defining what you want and what you're talented in, what you can give, helps to create your boundaries. By being really clear on those definitions, which is what we started about, and you have to watch the first part of this video in order to get to those all little parts of it. There was some error in the live feed. When we make those definitions really clear, we put ourselves in a clear place to attract to us the relationships we do want, and to repel from us the ones that we don't. And it's okay to repel the ones that we don't, because we may be infinite and vast beings, but we are not beings with an infinite amount of time here. You can send love to anyone far, even if you cut the cords and even if they're not with you. You can still hold them in your heart unconditionally, because we truly all are one. Though just because we all are one does not mean we need to love everyone. In fact, there is always a good reason why we don't like someone. There's always a good reason why we are afraid of someone. And the truth is that most of the time when we do not honor the fact that we're afraid of a connection, we are spiritually bypassing and we are putting ourselves up for an experience of being drained or manipulated. And I have learned this so many times with my trip to India. Everyone's so nice and open, but I didn't trust them, but I chose to trust them because I wanted to be a nice visitor in their country. And ooh, that was not easy. In relationships, I just wanted to accept people where they're at and help them. And instead, I got, abused. And I learned from that. It was a positive experience because I used that to learn how to be more discerning and how to be more clear. And that clear discernment allows us to just cut the cord when we need to. And that may seem a little bit merciless, but it's actually the most spiritual thing you can do because it's the most self-loving thing that you can do. We are trained in our childhood again to think that the world does not revolve around us, but it does. And that's not saying that we need to start, like, again, not draining other people, not hurting them in order to meet our needs and to get what we want, but to realize that we are the creator of every single thing we experience. The center of the universe is in our own heart center, and we define the parameters of what we experience by making our boundaries and our beliefs and our values and all of this very, very clear. Okay, I'm going to look at the questions. So some of you guys have been watching for a while. Let me try and open those comments. Why can't I see the comments? Why can't I see the comments? Okay, I see your comments now. Let's see. Thank you for reminding me. Good reminder. Yay. Oh, thank you, Maria. I'm glad you watched this, Maria. Hi, Samuel. What do you think of being capable of creating your own reality with the law of attraction, that you are literally capable of creating and manifesting anything in your life, personality, the illusion of time, past, present, and future, layering on top of each other, and theory that life is an actual illusion, and so are fears and insecurities? I don't know if it makes any sense because it gets complicated, haha. Great topic. So right now, right here is the only moment that's real. And our past memories change when we use our imagination to change them. And so again, this ties into the inner child work of going back to that past and changing those memories. By using our imagination, we tune ourselves to different vibrational levels. So we have to get into the practice of imagining what we would prefer to experience in order to actually attract those things. We have to have that clear imagination of the things that we want and we want to create. So time being an illusion, yes, but it is a real illusion. We still exist within the framework of time. Is everything that appears around us an illusion? Well, yes, it is. And in a Bashar channeling recently, Bashar gave us this tool in order to be a more powerful manifester, and it's to affirm that this is real. This is a real stool that my computer is sitting on top of, and a real computer and a real camera and a real person in front of a real screen that you can touch and look at with a real keyboard. It's all real. But by the act of affirming that it is real, you are also affirming the opposite, that it is an illusion. And doing this trains you to see that this is a projection of your consciousness. This is a projection of your consciousness. How does this tie into the idea of relationships? Well, by again imagining the kinds of once we've like in the beginning of this post and video, defined our needs, defined our talents, and we start to imagine a world in which those needs are met, we start to imagine a world in which those talents are shared with others, we can get a sense of that feeling state that we prefer. We can get a sense of how we would prefer to feel within our relationships. So if you've written that whole list down and you've gone through all of it and you've typed it all out and you've read it a couple of times, then you can practice in your meditations. What does it feel like to have those needs met? What does it feel like to be nurtured? What does it feel like to be validated? What does it feel like to be held? And you get a sense of, that's the feeling state I like. That's the really, really juicy feeling state. What does it feel like for my talents to be shared and met with others? It feels really empowering. It feels really exciting. Okay, I can tune into that emotional frequency wavelength too. And then as you practice getting in that vibration in your meditation and you go out in the world, that sets you up for creating. So again, with this law of attraction and repulsion, that whatever we're feeling right now is what we're creating. So we use our meditation to get ourselves in that preferred state. And then once we're in that emotionally preferred state, we wipe away the exact parameters that would keep us in that emotional state. And we just let our lives guide us. And we can do this with our relationships by clearly defining what kind of relationships we want. And there's great tools for like attracting a relationship that is writing all the things you want in a relationship, doing a little ritual that you believe will work in order to attract that relationship to you and say, dear universe, creator of all that is, I want this kind of connection. Please and thank you. And let go of the attachment. As soon as you let go of the insistence on when and how it shows up, it will. Things like this are happening quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker. Other questions? This is a great way to connect and grow. Wow, deep. Even rationalizing is an illusion. Rationalizing is an illusion as well. Yes. Rationalizing, I don't know how to. Well, my teacher said about rationalizations is just that a rationalization makes something irrational rational. The most real things do not need to be rationalized. Why do I keep smiling? Because I'm just naturally in a state of joy and bliss, because I am enjoying sharing and giving unconditionally. And the way that I give and share in these videos makes me feel very happy and open. And I feel that what I'm doing is being received by people, and that makes me feel quite joyful. So I guess it's rationalizing an illusion, yes. Belief systems are also illusions. Belief systems are just the definitions that define what comes to us. They're the filters through which we see and experience reality, and everything we believe to be true becomes a reality because we're looking at reality through that lens. So yes, they're all illusions, though they're very real illusions. They're very real beliefs that create very real experiences. And we need to honor those belief systems and feel what they cause within us in order to let go of them. Yeah. Okay. I feel complete with this, unless anyone has any other questions. I hope my responses to those little questions that popped up were cool. Yeah. Last thing to say is that we have relationships not just with people, but with concepts. So we have a relationship with money, we have a relationship with food, we have a relationship with our work, we have a relationship with this and that aspect of our life. And when we start to see the things that occur within our lives as part of that relationship as well, part of relationship itself, it can be much more powerful. But that's an entirely different subject. And one more thing, yeah, I'm going to answer these last questions that just popped up, though I will say as this is starting to diverge from the original topic. Yeah, check out my website, blissbeings.com. My YouTube channel, this will be there later, youtube.com/blissbeings. Posted as well a crowdfunding campaign, and that is supporting me and sharing even more generously these videos and these things that I do, and as well going on a great epic trip this winter to Peru, which has been my dream for quite a while. And yeah, there's great incentives for that. My sessions are at a discount, and I will offer personal perks that you can see at the website. Though I made this video because somebody asked, who donated, asked this question, and it just felt so fun to return that wonderful sharing. Some people will not be part of Ascension. They will remain in 3D much longer. How is that with animals? Will some take part and others not? Okay, so this is a more metaphysical question. Yeah, so the Ascension thing is kind of this idea that there's going to be two different Earths emerging on this same Earth. And that polarization has already taken place for a large part, that those of us that are focused on the light, the love, the growth, the new communities, the new consciousness have focused ourselves in those ways. And those of us that are more focused on the service to self over others, meeting our own needs while hurting others in the process, are on that path, and they're confused and they're distraught, and they are people like Donald Trump and all of those things. So eventually those sorts of people will split off into a parallel reality of Earth, and they will just be in that parallel reality, and we will be on the one of love, light, and ascension, and you choose. You have the choice of which one you go to by what you focus upon and what you do with your energy. So what will happen to the plants and animals? Well, because humans some of us are going on the positive path and some of us are going on the negative path, the same with the animals. There will be both animals that are on the ascending planet and animals that are on the parallel reality of Earth, as there are animals on all sorts of planets of all sorts of densities. So of course animals come with us, but animal souls are choosing something of their own intelligence and volition, just like some animals chose to be brought into captivity and torture. Animals will choose those negative parallel realities as well. And there are more realities out there than you can imagine. And we can say from traveling to some of them that our Earth reality is actually one of the more beneficial of them, one of the more positive and balanced expressions. Yeah. Was there another question that popped up? Thank you, Peter. I love you if you're still watching. What do you think about feeling an ego death occurring in your life soon through strengthening with the pineal gland? Ego death. Ego death is a good state to take us to an experience of our source self. And yeah, the ego death does open our pineal gland. It opens us up to another level of reality. I find that some people with ego death have a hard time integrating. Maybe there's not enough material out there about how to be both the endless infinite self and the human personal self. And actually through ego death, people start to maybe distort their experience within relationships because they're like, oh, I'm just source, I'm just the universe, I'm just creator. I should just let my love flow like creator's love flows. And then they start to get enmeshed in relationships again. So yes, there is one level of us that is entirely in oneness, and there's a level of us that is a human having an individual experience in an individual body, and we have to honor that and our time and our value and our energy within that. Okay, I answered the questions, I think. Okay, and take a moment to just sit and presence with anyone still watching. So again, thank you for watching, and yeah, check out the channeling and coaching I offer and the wonderful campaign to support this journey and the other videos in the flow. I hope this has supported you in beautiful ways, that you have the most fantastic day ever. Yeah, love, light, and blessings.